Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Yes, the government shutdown is over. The sequester continues. And today, another part of basic government function turned off by Republicans. One Republican, to be precise.
I'm going to block every appointment in the United States Senate until the survivors are being made available to Congress. I'm tired of hearing from people on TV and reading about stuff in books. We need to get to the bottom of this.
Just 12 days since the government reopened, and Lindsey Graham is promising to bring executive appointments to a halt. And he can do it using a Senate protocol that allows for any single senator to block any nomination by placing a hold on it. But that's how Lindsey Graham is able to block all nominees, not why. To understand why Graham wants to bring government to a halt, you have to meet Lindsey Graham's primary challenger, South Carolina State Senator Lee Bright.
Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death." We got folks in our country, and it's getting above 50% that say, "Give me liberty or give me a whip card."
Lindsey Graham, like John Boehner and the House Republicans before him, is threatening to essentially shut down part of the government so he can defend himself from a Tea Party backlash. Recent polling found only 53% of South Carolina Republicans have a favorable view of Graham. For some context, Graham's unfavorables in the state are 30 points higher than his fellow Senate Republican Tim Scott. Needing to turn around his numbers, Graham is turning back to Benghazi.
We're just beginning on Benghazi, and to the families, we're not going to let this go.
Lindsey Graham is just doing what the modern GOP does best, using political theater to placate the base and leaving the American people with the damage.
Talk about Benghazi.
Graham is going to block important, substantive nominations so he can win his primary. Did you want someone to run the Federal Reserve, the world's most important economic body? Well, sorry, Benghazi.
I haven't forgotten about Benghazi.
Did you want someone to run the Department of Homeland Security? That can't happen because Benghazi.
What happened in Benghazi?
Did you want an undersecretary for nuclear security?
We haven't heard from one person in Benghazi. Benghazi, 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 Benghazi.
You mentioned Benghazi.
Yeah.
America's nukes may not be secure, but at least Lindsey Graham will be reelected.
This administration needs to be held accountable for Benghazi, a story of Americans abandoned by their government at a time they needed their government the most.
Joining me now is David Brock, the founder of Media Matters for America. He's also author of the newly released ebook called The Benghazi Hoax. And David, take me through the almost totemic resonance that Benghazi and the deaths of those 4 Americans in that American consulate that night had among the right.
Well, sure. So in this book, we outline 15 what we call hoaxes. And I think today, in your lead-in, we saw the 16th. You know, behind every bully is a coward. And Lindsey Graham made a big deal of making friends with Hillary Clinton earlier in his days in the Senate. Then he switched course on Benghazi and basically accused her of having blood on his hands. And what changed there? Why is he playing politics with national security? Is the primary challenge he has from the Tea Party. The Tea Party challenger referred to him as a community organizer for the Muslim Brotherhood. And the truth is, and we try to get to the facts in the book.
He actually called him a community organizer for the Muslim Brotherhood?
That's right. And so this is posturing. There are Benghazi truthers at all levels of the Republican Party, starting with Dick Cheney, who went on talk radio last week and lied about Secretary Clinton's role in this, to the nut who heckled her last week. So Lindsey Graham is looking at the Benghazi truthers who are primary voters in South Carolina. And the fact is, the people he wants to hear from, Chris, they were interviewed by the FBI. They were interviewed by the State Department Accountability Review Board. Those transcripts are available to the Senate, and Lindsey Graham even met with some of them. So this is like your 16th hoax.
There was a report, I think part of the reason that Lindsey Graham timed this announcement to this morning, where he went on Fox and Friends and made this big deal about it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what this means. I mean, he's putting a hold on all the nominees. This is not just some small bit of theater. He will actually block people from getting a confirmation, etc. There was a report on 60 Minutes last night I want to play you an excerpt of, because I think the conservatives I read seem very excited that this is going to bring back this issue. Take a listen.
It's now well established that the Americans were attacked by al-Qaeda in a well-planned assault. 5 months before that night, Morgan Jones first arrived in Benghazi. But on his first drive through Benghazi, he noticed the black flags of al-Qaeda flying openly in the streets. And he grew concerned about the guard force as soon as he pulled up to the U.S. compound.
There was nobody there that we could see. And then we realized they were all inside drinking tea, laughing and joking.
What was your reaction to the 60-minute spot, David?
Well, look, I think that they pose lingering questions about Benghazi, and the truth is there were 157 attacks on U.S. diplomatic facilities since 1998. Most of those were under George W. Bush. We've had 18 congressional hearings and 25,000 administration documents produced. No evidence of wrongdoing by the president, by Secretary Clinton. Even Republican Senator Bob Corker said months ago, we know what happened in Benghazi. He's satisfied that he knows it. So in this report, I'll say something about two of the sources in the report. One of them, Gregory Hicks, was presented as a so-called whistleblower by Darrell Issa. And, he previously lied and said that there was a military stand-down order in Benghazi. That never happened. Didn't stop Fox News from airing 85 primetime segments saying there was one, but all the testimony from the military officials said that never happened. And the other witness appears to be some type of British mercenary who apparently, in conversations with Fox News, asked for money to talk. And so, Fox News even drew a line there, but it was good enough for CBS.
David Brock from Media Matters, thank you very much for your time.